So in the aftermath of the death of Di, then we saw Dodie's father and
Oh.
Earl Spencer, is it?
Mm.
They shifted the blame. What are your thoughts on their perspective?
Well, could you be a little bit more particular? Because
Yeah, I
you
mean,
mentioned Earl Spencer. Earl
the,
Spencer was dead.
oh, who was
Sorry, you mean
Diana's dad?
Charles Spencer.
Charles Spencer.
Oh,
Charles
yes,
Spencer.
of course,
Sorry,
he was by then
Charles
Earl
Spencer.
Spencer.
Yeah.
Oh, please spare me.
Yeah.
I mean, Charles Spencer, I've only ever come across him once, and it was when he was a teenager, and he was absolutely indescribably dreadful. And I gather that with the passage of time, he has improved somewhat, although it depends which wife you listen to. So let's put that way. And I thought that Charles Spencer's self-serving journalistic, and let's remember Charles Spencer's a journalist, and he thinks like a journalist, and a cheap shot will always suffice if it's going to get him the attention he desires and requires. And that speech that he made, because it was a speech at the funeral, was a complete disgrace. And you know how he could have done it and held his head up. And such utter rubbish and claptrap. But brilliantly done. He's a very good writer. I've read many of his books. For instance, his book on the murderers of Charles I is a wonderful work. But where his sister's concerned, recently, I think, in terms of the Bashir thing, he's been very good and very measured, and I support everything he says 100%. As for what he said at the time of her death, codswallop. Mohammed Fayed, well, a grief-stricken father who has an axe to grind with some justification against the British establishment. I always thought he should have been given a British passport. I always thought it was a total disgrace that he was not given a British passport. He has done wonderful charity work long before any involvement with the royal family. I have been to things at Windsor, the Windsor Horse Show, where he was there with the Queen. So, you know, but this was in the days before he was made a pariah by the government. It was not by the royal family. But I think he confused the two. And he came out with a load of codswallop. And I have to tell you that the immediate story going around, which is possibly why he came out with the codswallop, was immediately after Diana died with Dodi. The first version was that it was a hit by the Libyans, because Mohammed Fayed and Dodi always wore clip-on ties and were surrounded by security. And the rumor was that he had, and I'm sure this is just a rumor, by the way, but I'm telling it nevertheless because it explains his conduct, that the rumor was, and he knew about this rumor, by the way, that he had got the money to buy Harrods, not from the Sultan of Brunei, not anything to do with the Sultan of Brunei, but from Muammar Gaddafi. Now, you may not know this, but in 1977, I was a Libyan ambassador's private secretary. So I actually have had good connections into the Gaddafi camp, let's put it that way. And the rumor was that Gaddafi had hit, since he couldn't reach Mo, as they said, he reached Dodi, and Diana was collateral damage. Well, Mohammed Fayed is no fool. He realizes if this gets out, it's going to be highly damaging. So he comes up with an alternative explanation, which is, as you will know, you're in the business, the oldest trick in the book: knock out one story with a better story. And so the better story was that Prince Philip was behind it, which was ludicrous. I mean, absolutely ludicrous. And it's amazing how many people believe that rubbish, and that, that Diana was wiped out because the royal family didn't want her to marry a Muslim. Well, excuse me. Hashnat Khan is a Muslim. Hashnat Khan, everybody knew Diana wanted to marry him. He's still living and breathing. Why wasn't he rubbed out? But Dodi was rubbed out because Dodi's a Muslim. Hashnat Khan is a Muslim. You see, none of it stacks up. It doesn't make sense.
Did he say how Prince Philip was supposed to have orchestrated this?
Well, I don't even want to go into it. The whole thing's just ludicrous. I mean, you must have heard all about it.
There's so many different theories online. It's crazy.
It's insanity. But also, you see, it sets the pace because people do not want to believe that stupid accidents happen. People always want an explanation to feel they are more in control of their fate by explaining away happenstance. The only 4 people in that car who knew the route the car was going to take were the people in the car. No one else knew. Are we to believe that the British Secret Service, and there may be 30 routes between the Ritz and Dodi's flat, are we to believe that the Secret Service had hitmen on each and every one that night? I mean, the whole thing is stupid. It's just stupid.